Non-native species or invasive species can compete with native species. And so native species do not have the ability to have their food, their ability to have their home. The whole food chain, the whole ecosystem gets completely disturbed. And that's why they're so detrimental. So non-native species are, in this case, plants that are not where they're supposed to be. So they're not in their natural range. And so they've been introduced in a place intentionally, for example, agriculture or forestry or horticulture, or unintentionally, like just being hitchhikers. They came on a boat or they came by the wind and they're not in their natural range. Invasive species are non-native species, and sometimes they can aggressively reproduce, displacing native species.
So there's a couple different types of bamboos. There's Phyllosaccus aurea, which is a yellow bamboo. That's the traditional bamboo you think of. And then there's also heavenly bamboo, which is Nandina domestica. And that's a short, bushier type of bamboo.
Bamboo would be considered invasive because it's very destructive towards the land. It also spreads really quickly due to the rhizomes that go in the ground.
They came here from China. They were introduced in 1882 to Alabama. People were using them as ornamental plants to make a screen and block out sound and neighbors. And then it quickly spread across the US.
The way that you manage or control bamboo is by not planting it, choosing something else.
If you already have it, you can mow it off, but you have to keep doing that and you have to be consistent with it for a lot of growing seasons. Or there are some ways you can treat it chemically to get rid of it, but that's not commonly recommended.
An alternative for bamboo is Panicum brigatum, which is known as switchgrass, which is a native grass. It overwinters very well here.
Japanese barberry was introduced to York County through the ornamental trade in 1875. It was brought up because of its vivid color in the fall.
A lot of them get transported here by ships or overseas, maybe by plane, but either way they come from an area that they're used to being in and they're transported to an area that they should not be.
The leaves are small and they're round and there's a lot of them on a stem.
In the fall they'll change from green to like a brilliant red color, so very bright, very vibrant. The berries themselves, bright red, round, very easy to spot.
The berries is also part of the reason why this plant is so invasive. That's the main mechanism through which they spread. One of the things that it does, and part of the reason why it is threatening, is that it does disrupt native ecosystems, especially in the wild. The dense thickets that it forms will choke out native growth and make it harder for those plants, and it'll actually change the soil around it.
The soil, the contents, the pH, anything that makes these native plants thrive, it can take those elements away.
And something that's more of a threat to humans and human health is that barberry has been shown to actually increase tick populations within forests it infests. So that obviously can lead to higher rates of things like Lyme disease. So the best and quite frankly simplest way to deal with these species, and specifically Japanese barberry, is to just rip it out. It's the easiest way and the most effective to remove the species, and moving forward just plant native.
As long as they're on the smaller side, it should be easy enough to uproot them. Be careful not to let the berries fall. That, of course, will spread barberry. There's been some people who unfortunately grabbed them by the stem, and that's pretty painful, so don't do that. Be careful with the thorns. Also, if you see these plants in someone else's property, I would get permission first. I wouldn't just go around uprooting, just any plants. As of 2021, it was put on a noxious weed list, which of course in turn implements a ban. Straight answer is no, it is not legal, it's now banned. However, there are some variations. If made infertile, they are allowed to be sold. What are some alternatives to Japanese barberry? For one, we have our beautiful 9-bark, of course, which is prized for its beautiful bark, as well as its fall foliage, which has some beautiful red leaves, as well as beautyberry, which is more of a shrub, but this has the colorful and beautiful berries that you're looking for, which is of course a good native alternative.
English ivy, also known as common ivy, or by its scientific name, Hedera helix, can cause damage to a variety of things, primarily ground plants and trees. When it affects trees, it wraps around them. It can strangle and damage trees to a degree, it can overweigh and topple smaller trees, and it can choke out its canopy. For ground plants, it is capable of choking out a wide variety of species on the ground, becoming the dominant species there. It can grow in almost any shaded area on the grounds, hills, fields, anything with at least moderate shade.
The ivy tends to rob nutrients from the surrounding plants and shrubs and ferns on the ground, and it makes its way up the tree and it wraps it around with vines. At advanced stages, it'll block out the canopy of the tree. It cannot grow to its full mature size, and this spreads throughout the forest.
If you see English ivy that is very small, it can simply be removed. But if you see well-established English ivy on a tree, the best thing to do is to cut it at about chest height and remove a large section between that spot and the ground. This should cut off resources to any ivy above it and limit its growth below. As for ivy that is already on the ground and only on the ground, uproot what you can, basically. If you're looking for a good replacement plant for English ivy in your gardens, trumpet honeysuckle is a great plant to be planting in Pennsylvania. Not only does it have a beautiful flower that will help attract butterflies to your gardens, the fruits are also quite pretty. The nice little red fruits.
Butterfly bush is an invasive species that was introduced here to the area a long time ago and has established a presence within our local ecosystems. The reason why it established so quickly is because of the amount of seeds it was able to produce.
Butterfly bush loves disturbed soil. That's the big thing. Any area where the soil is either already devoid of a lot of plant life or already very loosened up, the butterfly bush will be able to deposit its truckload of seeds into there and 50 more will spring up. The first thing is recognizing it when you see it. The distinctive feature of butterfly bush is that big inflorescence right there. All those tiny little flowers, which will all inevitably become seeds. Other than that, its leaves are opposite, which means you have, here's your stem, you have one leaf here and another leaf here.
Basically, getting rid of it is you actually pull it out of the ground. That's the simple solution there.
Instead of planting something like butterfly bush, try something else, a Joe Pye reed or button bush, which I think is a really cool looking flower. Knowing what to look for and knowing what is good and what is bad is the first step to actual change.
Invasive species. They take a whole bunch of nutrients from the soil that native species could use, and they don't offer as much in terms of food for birds or insects. Invasive species in this region offer more like sugary berries and nuts, which is not really what insects and birds need. They want more starches and whatnot to last through winter. And native species offer that, which is why we're always trying to push for more native species, because they offer more to our community.
Sometimes in the horticulture community gets excited about a new plant and in their zeal overplants them before they realize the impact that they have. And with Bradford pears, there's two things that we know. One is their invasive nature, and two, they are a very problematic tree in that a lot of trees that grow too fast tend to not have a strong constitutional integrity and are very quick to break up and cause problems. And what most people probably did not see in those trees downtown is many of them were cabled together, were very split, and when we removed them, we found a lot of them were even rotten in the center. So it was really just a matter of time, so they had to be removed. And we knew that, and between the Rotary Club and the City of York, we wanted to be proactive with that so that we could create a good outcome instead of a reactive one where we had to clean up damp. When you look at urban streetscape as it regards trees, you have a very limited catalog of trees to choose from that will, number one, fit in that size, work with the underground conditions, the air quality conditions, and the maintenance requirements of the city. And the ginkgo was selected because it will survive in that area, if not thrive. It drops its leaves all within a week so the city can clean them up all at once. And prior to that, it puts on an amazing show of golden fall foliage. We wanted to add variety to those 3 blocks of York City. Silversberry was picked because it replicates the white flower that people enjoy from the Bradford pear. What's interesting about the way we approach that is we can't easily plant serviceberry in a tree well because they branch very low, which means cars will hit them and break them up. So we installed 4 feet concrete planters on the corners to give them the elevation they needed to survive and thrive in that environment. The bonus was that it is a native species. It gives us that balance with the ginkgo, which is not considered native to the Amelanchier, the serviceberry, which is a native plant.
Native species are plants that are in their natural range, and the Convention for Biological Diversity has the natural ranges of plants or organisms, and plants that are not in their natural range, that's when they become non-native. So plants in their natural range, they serve a purpose in the food chain. And when we find invasive species, they're out-competing these native plants. That can be bad for our environment. That can be bad for an ecosystem. So when you think about caterpillars or bees or beetles, they live in different plants. And when we take out these homes and we bring another organism, then that's when the whole food chain, the whole ecosystem gets completely disturbed. Organisms are not going to be able to pollinate different plants because there's an invasive species. A bird that might be eating a particular native plant, now it has a non-native plant that maybe doesn't provide any food for it. I think that a lot of people talk about the lanternfly, and they talk about the marmorated stink bug, and you see a lot of information about these insects, but we don't hear a lot about plants, and I think we need to start thinking about that because plants are primary producers, and some of these invasive species can be quite aggressive, and they are displacing natural habitats, and the public needs to know. In Pennsylvania, we have 140 invasive species of plants that are very aggressive and that we need to start paying attention to. If not, our forests are going to be completely different in 50 years from now.